Welcome to Tuesday night, everybody. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Meringolo. Thank God it's Tuesday. Tuesday is always great, no matter what, no matter if we're talking about a win or a loss. And we are talking about one of those tonight. He's Tim Strachan.
That's right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Look, it's not the result we wanted, but anytime I get to spend a Tuesday night with you two and many of you on the board, it's a happy Tuesday. And we're going to have to, we've also learned after a long time, sometimes we have to have the difficult conversation on Tuesdays just to get through it together. So that in and of itself will make it a happy Tuesday.
Classically trained group therapist, leader.
We got to share our feelings.
A pioneer in the pantsless therapy sector, Kevin Ricca.
I'm dumbfounded by the. I love the perspective that we've been given here so far. It is a happy Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
There's a glass of whiskey. There's a table. It's football season.
Football season started.
Well, let's get the stuff out of the way that we got to get to.
Here's what we're gonna do tonight, and we're gonna try to get into a habit of doing it. Last year we did. We got pretty far into the season before we dropped bad habits because, let's be honest, at whatever record we were at whatever time we decided the show needed to go in a new direction. We're going to do best thing we saw, worst thing we saw. We're going to do team stats. We're going to do snap count. Those are our four basic ways we're going to talk about this game on the show tonight. Appreciate you guys contributing your thoughts on each of those things as we work our way through. We always have something off the cuff or off the muff, as we like to say here. Manner of speaking, Rhett Donnelly, mostly Kevin. Good to see you, boys. Appreciate
cuff.
You're a strict cuff guy. All right, let's start with. Let's just be us on a Tuesday night. Let's start with
as opposed to
the best thing we saw
being something.
Yeah, let's not be us. Let's be us. So we're going to start with, and I'm going to give T the honors. Best thing you saw. Now, again, make sure you remember the rules.
Okay, there's rules.
Yes. Don't Wikipedia us, give us give us 10 things and then decide on one at the end. This isn't a beauty pageant.
Can it just be one person?
One thing, whatever you want.
Personally, I think it's Jamin Davis making plays because
Davis. I like it.
not only is he
Wasn't
making
expecting that.
plays that he really hasn't been making before, he's doing it in a new position. He's getting a lot of praise for what he's trying to do. And with the way that Clelin Ferrell played, I have a feeling Jamin Davis, we're going to need him to do that a little bit more often. And if he's shown that he has a skill set. It was just one of the things defensively it popped out at me that I thought was one of the most positive things coming out of the game.
Jamin Davis, best thing you saw. We get it's not a rebuttal, it's a concurring buttle. I love he produced. The thing that he didn't do since he got here is produce. He's been on the field a ton. He's snapped out of his mind. He's been athletic. He's hit people hard. He's made tackles. He's covered tight ends. I mean, he's done all the things, but he hasn't necessarily produced. Now, a lot of guys haven't produced on our defense over the last couple of years, but he's one of them. And so to see him produce, fill a couple stat boxes, beat a very, very good tackle on the other side of the ball in Tristan Wirfs in one-on-one. So, yeah, that's great, T. I like that.
Thank you.
I'm going to stay on the defensive side of the ball, Ken.
I love it.
I love seeing a second-year guy step up, and this is somebody that's going to be good in this system, and I think you can see he feels comfortable. But Quan Martin flying around the field, he had 9 tackles, second to Bobby Wagner, but 8 solo tackles. He is a man possessed. He plays with his hair on fire, and I love the passion. Quan Martin. How about that? Where did that come from?
I wish I would have had it for Jamin. He deserved it too.
I agree.
Quan Martin.
I agree.
And I think that there's a best thing in the best thing there. It's kind of like Inception, with the movie. That one goes deep because our team, we have 21 guys from last year's team, less than 40% of the team we recently had. We did a freaking McCarthy era roundup of anyone who was found guilty of being thought highly of by the previous regime, and we got them straight out of town for the most part in mass. So to get production out of a guy who we already had, it touches on something for me that I'm going to get to later in this show. But Quan Martin showing signs of being able to contribute is a big deal for a rebuilding team.
Agreed. And for a team that played no D, it was pretty funny that D and I came out of the gate swinging.
I love it. The two quarterbacks went straight D, and I'm going quarterback. The best thing I saw on Sunday was number 5, Jaden Daniels. Had a smile on his face. He didn't look rattled. I'll say that first. A lot of times you say all the things, and then you're like, and you know what? The biggest thing was is he didn't look rattled. Well, the biggest thing was is he didn't look rattled. Let's say that first. He looked poised. He stepped up into, if you want to call it a pocket, maybe we figure out the word for whatever that was. He was running for his life. 88 rushing yards. Listen, not going to make a very long career in the NFL running the ball the way he did. It worked for us on Sunday, but we know how that story ends. Jaden Daniels had the fastest release time in the NFL in week 1, 2.3 seconds, 3 and some change. Number 1, that's the key. We said it the whole time through. There's a other side of that, a worse thing.
There's a snag.
There's a little snag there. He did get rid of the ball quickly, but we'll talk about more of that in a second. I think in general, Jaden Daniels showed up ready to play some football. He had good eyes. He kept his head up. He showed he could take a couple hits, and he did, and he's going to have to, unfortunately. So, listen, we've seen what quarterbacks who aren't going to make it in this league look like very early on in their careers everywhere in the league, including here multiple times. The best thing I saw was we spent a number 2 draft pick on a quarterback who looks like he's ready to be a quarterback in this league. That's awesome.
No, that was cool. I think we all agree that he was a bright spot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to let Kevin go first here. The worst thing about. Let's talk about the game. Sorry, on the board, Rhett. I think Rhett likes your Jamin. He thinks Jaden's a superstar, but Jamin definitely could be a guy. No other comments on the. We have some worse stuff going on, so lead us off with the worst thing, Kev.
Well, I just think
Your
watching
worst thing.
us get butchered by Baker was hard.
Your boy.
The Butcher of Mayfield.
So
We should have probably called the Arkansas campus policeman.
So now,
be a part of the
just to be fair,
Security guard.
When he was in college, I loved him. When he came to the league with all that BS, I couldn't stand it. And then I love what he did in the last year, and I knew that they were going to be pretty good this year, and I think they were going to be better than even I thought they were going to be. But that's not just because of us. That's because those 2 receivers are badass. But
Yep.
dude, four different touchdown passes to a receiver that led the NFL. No one else had 4 touchdowns to the receiver room specifically.
We didn't
no
make
tight
it
ends,
really
whatever.
hard.
That's now part of it is scheme, part of it is that, part of it is Baker manipulating the pocket. Baker played like a veteran and got rid of the ball quick as hell.
He did.
And
We made him look
he's got
really good.
Capability,
He's
too.
got 2 superstars he's throwing the football to.
Yes.
Holy shit. But that was brutal. All this stuff we're talking about, this defense and all this stuff, and we're heating them up and we're coming, but we didn't do shit.
Nope, we did not do shit. I
didn't
mean,
do
obviously,
shit.
you. What's up, real deal? You know that how I feel about Baker, and I'm not talking about it. After his team beat us, I love him. He had a great game. My worst thing, worst thing I saw was. I would say I'm just gonna say it in 3 words, and it's lack of talent. Like in terms of, and I'll be specific. Let's just say receiver position, just out of the gate. But like when I was watching the game, and I'm thinking to myself, we're a 4-win team, new coaching staff, new players, and you just want to see how you measure up. And we talked about it last week. Like if we can measure up with a team like the Bucs, 9-8 team, won their division, made the playoffs. Like those are the kinds of teams you have to be on the same page as, in November and December, if you have any chance of making the playoffs at all. And we were so far behind them, and it just drew a big like pointing arrow at what the job that Adam Peters has in front of him, and to obviously Dan Quinn, but mostly Adam Peters is like we have talent, we have some youth, we have some speed, we have some strength, but like on an NFL team, I think like the average level of talent on an NFL team, I think we're not quite there yet. And it's
I agree.
It's tough.
I agree. I didn't notice it really until I watched some of the other games.
Yes.
Watching some of the other games, I'm thinking to myself, we don't look like this. We don't look like this. We're not even really close to looking like some of these other teams that are out there.
specifically at the wide receiver position.
Yes.
Specifically the wide. That's why I said that.
it's
Specifically.
brutal.
I might as well throw in my worst is
You're next.
is the cornerback room.
Ooh.
I think it's even worse than our wide receiver.
Well, I want to talk about both. So
It's really concerning how bad our cornerbacks are right now.
Well, let's play off his worst thing he saw. Let's play on the cornerback situation. Let's talk about it because again, cornerbacks and wide receivers. That's where the NFL is right now. That's the whole game. And if you watch our team and you watch any other list of games, you notice it right away. No, we're not the same. And we just got to be honest about it. I mean, we're just not. We're not yet. I think Adam Peters is going to get us there. By the way, this made me feel so much better about the Jahan Dotson trade just for this reason. If it was a different regime, Brandon Ayuk would have been on our team on Sunday for sure. We would have given up anything to get him under a Dan Snyder-led regime. Draft picks and players.
And that would be
we wouldn't have
bad.
had this whole
Why?
setup to be able to go get him.
That's fair. That's true. But I guess my point is that the patience that Adam Peters is going to have to build through the draft, to be able to jettison a talent like Jahan Dotson, and he's a talented player, and get that third round pick and get those extra picks, to cut the kicker to save the draft pick that we gave up, for him. He's going to need to use those draft picks as well as anyone ever. But on the wide receiver, you're talking about I'm sorry. Before we talk about the wide receivers, the corners, dude, the corners were absolutely showing us that we're gonna have to use some serious resources.
Forbes. So there is a definition of insanity. If you just keep doing the same thing over and over again, it gets to be a little bit insane. He's been benched now for the second time in his professional career, and it doesn't bode well. And then Iggy comes in, right? How much did Chris? Well, I know we're going to get to this later, but how much?
We'll see. I'll show you. We'll show you.
Play?
Who? Oh,
Davis?
Mike. Oh, no.
Michael Davis had zero.
I'm
snaps.
sorry, Michael.
Zero snaps.
Zero. I mean, what the hell
Didn't
is
play
going
once.
on in that room?
Listed as our starter last week, I
and
believe.
then St. Juiced, God bless him. I think he played his ass off, but he got torched.
He played every snap, I think, defensively.
Yes, we'll
Torched.
show that. Only 2 defensive players, I believe, did.
And then Sanders
Listen,
still had his rookie.
He did.
Welcome.
He was so
welcome
rookie.
to the NFL.
He was so rookie.
Yes, it was hard.
He was caught with his head in the backfield 100 times.
He gets a grace. It was his first time. They put a lot on his shoulders. They expected him to play like a vet, and he got introduced to the NFL. I think, but that's going to change. I think that's going to be. He's going to learn from this.
Well, the secondary and the one thing
Forbes hasn't learned.
The secondary has to play as a cohesive unit, and Forbes needs plenty of snaps. They obviously see something in him because they made him the starter, and I know he has all the physical attributes, and I think he'll get there at some point. He had a tough day, but Forbes has got to play through it. I think he's that guy. You don't just quit on him after 1.1 of his 4 to 5 year contract. You can't. So he needs to get better. But I don't understand Michael Davis. I don't understand St. Ristle getting stuck. I don't understand how the communication level is brutal. Guys are wide open. I know this league, guys aren't supposed to be wide fucking open. And these guys are damn good. But this guy's not falling. This is fine to do this on opening weekend against that team. I think it's going to make us better in the long run. But this is who we are. It's fine to see this now. This is who we are. We're not good right now. We're going to have to listen. Everything else that's happened in this organization since this guy took over, since our ownership all the way down to our head coach, we've had to pull ourselves from the muck of the swamps of Washington D.C. And the football team's going to have to do it the hard way. And I think we're going to get way better. I think this team will be way better. But I don't think we have great talent. I don't think we're going to be great.
We're not going to be great. We don't have great talent. Yeah, and the Mike Davis versus Emmanuel Forbes
I don't
thing.
know what that is.
I think this is another example of Adam Peters.
He deserves snaps.
He deserves snaps. Oh yeah, he does. He deserves snaps.
Unless there's something we don't know about that happened.
No, that's exactly my point. I think this shows another example of Adam Peters, who is absolutely both hands on the wheel of this thing. Obviously, Dan Quinn has a lot of power, but Adam Peters is driving this bus. Keanu Reeves, and Sandra Bullock style. This is his situation, and if you look at our team objectively, like we're doing, and say we have a talent deficiency, you
at receiver and corner,
corner, and all these places. I mean,
in the passingest league in the world,
at some point you just say, you know what, we're gonna roll with some young guys and see what we got, because Mike Davis, he's a pro's pro, he's a veteran quarterback. He should be in the game. The only possible explanation I could say that he's not in the game is because they're like, hey, listen, we got to see about some guys this year, and Emmanuel Forbes is one of them.
Yeah.
And
that's fine. But you can still get him some snaps.
You got to get it. Well, I couldn't agree more, Kevin. I'm trying to understand it myself. That's the only thing I can come up with is that they basically said, "Hey,
I've
listen."
not seen anything on it. I really haven't. I haven't seen much on it at all.
Trust me, there's not any investigative reporters banging down anyone's doors about the Mike Davis situation, but they should. By the way, we got a green spot sighting by EO. Doesn't
And,
ever miss a beat.
shout out Rhett. Shout out Joe Gilmore. He knows.
Yes.
That
Nice.
green spot, baby. And on top of that, while we're talking about all Joe and everything else, can we talk about the shitty wide receivers real quick?
Okay, yeah, because I want to talk about what Rhett's point here, and we'll throw that up after we go to the wide
Just real
receivers.
quick. In the NFL,
that's covered.
all 32 teams,
Yes.
we had the least productive unit of wide receivers in the league Sunday. Only one team had less receptions than we did, New Orleans, but they had a receiver. They had more yards and a touchdown. Only one team, I think the Browns had less yards than we did, but they had more receptions and they had a touchdown. So I'm saying we had the lowest productive 7 reception for 55 yards out of this group. That's horrendous. At halftime, they had 1 reception out of our wide receivers. The converse is that the best team in the league at the wide receiver position, statistically speaking, the Rams had 27 receptions for 267 yards.
Oh,
Tampa Bay had
that was the game where
195 yards and 4 touchdowns against us. We're going 7 for
Yeah.
55 with nothing. We have no chance. Our top 2 freaking catching pass receivers are our running backs. Our receiver room is putrid. I wasn't a big, huge Dotson guy. Didn't care that he was gone. But don't let me believe that there's someone there that can do shit when we have nobody that can do a damn thing with a rookie quarterback. That's frustrating.
Yep.
We should have done something to help this cat out in the wide receiver room.
We did nothing.
We're healthy. That freaking one of the better defensive coaches in the NFL takes away Terry McLaurin, and we have 0 answers. Our new freaking offensive coordinator with 9 million books of knowledge, and he's so so offensive. What the shit are you doing, bro? Like, I don't even know what we're trying to accomplish. So
I mean, we
I don't
even
either.
forced it to McLaurin last year when we needed to. You got to do that in this league. You
Figure
gotta
something
find
out.
ways to get.
Figure
Even
something
Heineke
out.
understood that. It was
Yes.
weird. You know what? You know what it looked like to me? It looked like a 4th preseason game. It was so much vanilla on our
a lot
offensive
of screens.
play calling. Someone mentioned, and I know it was on the radio, and I was talking to Kevin about it earlier. Someone mentioned that Terry McLaurin, he was like almost every one of his snaps was in the same spot on the left-hand side, almost no motion at all from him. Not a lot of. I know that manner of speaking, or I believe it was manner of speaking, brought it up earlier on the board, saying that he has a problem with the OC as potentially being his worst thing of the week. I can't
don't
fault
disagree
that.
with that at all. I want to know what the deal is with this guy. I really do.
It was I mean, is vanilla like making it sound better than it was? Because I like vanilla.
Listen, I
It's a great
understand.
flavor.
I understand that vanilla bean's tremendous. I love it.
Yeah.
But I know we have a rookie quarterback, and we're not trying to throw the whole book at him right now in week 1. But give him some help. Find him some relief. Give him some answers. We can't go screen, throw the ball in 2.1 seconds every single time with no one open to dudes that are getting nowhere and with no space. I'm not sure what do we create.
Our line is atrocious as well. They can't.
Another
protect him
unit that
right
has
now.
to come together. I get it.
You can't put him in the pocket and let him try to step up. He's gonna get killed.
I get it.
I think we gotta get Wiley out of there. Move Lucas over and bring Coleman in at left.
I don't know.
It's eventually gonna happen, or it's gotta happen. I think we got to see that combo.
Here you go, T. I'm going to throw it up. We're going to go to
I have to
snap
watch
counts.
tape to see that. I thought Wiley played hard. I don't know if he played.
Yeah,
good.
he not only did he play hard,
think
but
he had a
here you
very good
go.
showing.
He played 100% of the game. We did not have any other tackle play 100% of the game. A lot of teams in the league this week had 2 tackles who played 100% of the game. I missed the first snap or 2 of this game because I was grilling, and in my mind, I thought Brandon Coleman was out there way more than he actually was. Cornelius Lucas was 76%, 45 snaps. Brandon Coleman only had 14. And I do remember Trent Scott being there a couple times, certainly at the end of the game. But I wish I could remember. I don't have any frame of reference for what of those 14 snaps that Brandon Coleman played, what we actually saw. I know that tape is available and someone's obviously poring over it. But if Cornelius Lucas is our starting left tackle, all season long, that's just a huge hole at one of the most important positions in the sport. And it doesn't bode well when you have a rookie quarterback and you have a journeyman left tackle. I mean, this is a thing. So
Journeyman left tackle, shitty offensive freaking staff, and no receivers. But other than the football game, how was your afternoon in Landover, Mr. Meringolo?
Yes. So I'll tell you what. Up the middle, we talk about up the middle. Allegretti, Cosme, Biotish. Our offensive line didn't have a great game, so I'm not going to sit here and sing the praises of three guys who stayed on the field for all 59 offensive snaps.
And also that correlates to why we had only, what was it, 7 receptions by wide receiver.
7 for wide receivers.
That's all related. That's all. That all plays.
As is
hand
the
in
88
hand.
yards rushing by.
It's not on Jaden. It's not on the wide receivers solely. I don't think we have a line right now that allows Jaden to really push the ball downfield right now. I don't.
Yeah. And that's obviously wasn't the game plan against this defense. And they got some dudes that they get to the quarterback quickly.
Sinnott, 13 snaps, pretty inconsequential. I don't know if he was targeted. I know Zach Ertz led the team in targets at 42 snaps on the tight end side. So the tight end position, I mean, we talk about the veteran presence of Zach Ertz. I didn't see him. He wasn't. Let me preface that. And I don't want people here. Let's go back to here. I'm not trying to disparage Zach Ertz. He's a pro's pro. He knows what he's doing. We need him to some degree. But in a game when you only had 7 catches by your wide receivers, I would have expected the tight end position to be way more productive. You talk about a veteran tight end being a security blanket when a quarterback has to rush for 88 yards, and he had to rush for 88 yards. This wasn't like Cam. This wasn't like he was running for his life for 88 yards. I would have expected the tight end.
Smart. He got down
better
when he was supposed to.
He did.
He did that like a vet. Remember the teams that you're like, why can't they
He
get
didn't
down?
really slide.
No, they don't slide.
It's a tumble.
And they asked Dan Quinn that. He goes, "We don't slide. It's not baseball. We got to get down drill." So
All right.
It was. It's totally different. This isn't Zorn. This isn't slip and slide.
No, there's no more sliding. Now, some teams do slide, he said, but they do a get down drill. At any time you get down, and it's understood on the defensive side of the ball that.
And you saw it.
Yes.
You saw it. That was.
Yes.
That was okay. So. Not the best thing I saw, but a cool thing I saw was the recognition from the defensive players when our quarterback was going to the ground. And again, it's been drilled in their head. This thing started, 6-7 years ago?
The fines are starting to get ridiculous.
You don't want that. You don't want to be on the ref's radar. You don't want to have, so to watch a defensive player kind of hold his ground at whatever yard line and let Janie Daniels kind of go to the ground. In this day and age of artificial turf and all this weird artificial grass they're growing, and they're not doing any kind of like the field conditions are so miserable at places like FedEx when they're not using. If you're using natural grass or you're slide, I mean, remember baseball players slide on a nice cushiony dirt area. You know what I mean? Like it's made for sliding. You don't want your franchise quarterback throwing out a leg and he can injure like 4 different things on a bad slide if they're not gonna slide. I like our get down drill.
I do too. And Ken rarely has 2 whiskeys before the starts.
I've worked on FedEx Field. I've been on the grass. I mean, calling it grass is
slid?
like it's an affront to grass. It's like it's the worst. It's painted on dirt. The grass. It's the worst playing surface ever. Don't get me started.
I just didn't say one of the worst things I've almost said in my life. I hope you guys are proud.
Good
of
on
me.
you.
Yes.
Good on you. I don't know. It is a change. It's a change strategy. We've been drilled about quarterbacks have to slide, get down. But like what Jane Daniels did, they gave him a hard time about on the screen. But it looked the exact same every time he did it. It looked the exact same.
Yeah.
The left shoulder down.
It's more of a collapse than a slide.
Yes. Yeah. So on his non-throwing shoulder. I mean, it's a thing. He goes down this way and tumbles down. I don't want him sliding. I never want him. I hate the slide on the quarter for quarterbacks.
But the idea of the guy like Robert Griffin back in the day had no chance to get down or slide. He was just running so straight up. And
Yes.
he took 9 million.
He thought he was
shots.
Eric Dickerson.
Jaden's going to take some hits, but I'm going to tell you, he's going to be a little more elusive than that.
We don't
Yes.
want him running 16 times.
No.
No, 88. As
Now,
much
this
as I
was-
loved
a lot
it,
of this was done because I believe our offensive coordinator put him in that spot. Like,
Yeah.
all right, dude, what do you want him to do? He's a competitor. If you can't get rid of the ball right away and there's defense everywhere and they're coming, what do you want him to do?
Yeah. Well, as Dan Quinn said too, though, you got to learn to get rid of it.
You do.
Live another down.
I know.
Don't try to be
I
a
get
hero.
it. But
Wait, so
he's-
Greg-
Hey, Jaden, strap your helmet on.
I hate it.
Just Just
No.
That's
Speed
bad.
pull the
Flex,
damn
this-
straps.
The Speed Flex helmet is such a cool helmet. He has the next one up and the
Yeah.
next one up, and I'm telling you,
It's cool.
It's difficult to have it fall off like that. You have to specifically say like, I hate the feeling of a helmet on my head.
I mean, it cost us. It
Strap
cost
your
us this
fucking chin
week.
strap on.
For God's sake,
It's
our
reason why
prized
it's a freaking-
possession.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's the referees did the right thing. They blew the play dead, and you gotta have a helmet on,
It
son.
was like Ken when he worked at FedEx. It was just helmet all over the field.
There's
all
just helmet everywhere.
all afternoon. All
In a
afternoon.
good way. In a good way. So wait, though, Greg, the thing about the get down move that Jaden has, it utilizes the pads, right? I mean, it looks worse than it is. I mean, obviously he's running fast.
Sometimes
he
he
goes
didn't
down,
do it great. Let's not pretend that he didn't have a couple
Understood.
crumbly ones. But
But when you go down and
guess
you have all
what?
the pad,
Yes.
you're kind of using the padding to your benefit. It's much better.
It's a taught thing that they've drilled and worked
Yes.
on. That's all I've heard them say.
It's
I've
not
never
going to
seen
cause
it.
catastrophic injury. I think sliding can cause the active sliding in the NFL and certain surfaces can cause catastrophic injury to your legs.
Especially you head first after a 30-yard head start as the groundskeeper at FedEx Field.
When we were at quick side note, we'll edit this out in post. When I worked for the Bowie Bay Sox during rain delays,
Oh Lord!
I got to be on the tarp crew a couple of times, to run out there and roll out the tarp. And then
Like a Renaissance man.
there was a AA team, it was a minor league baseball
What
team.
haven't you done?
What's that? Don't ask. But like slip and slide on the tarp, like Rick Dempsey style. I have got to do that.
Yeah.
But at FedEx Field, I wouldn't.
You've been a hot dog vendor, a pretzel vendor,
Cotton candy at Wild World.
cotton candy at Wild World.
At Wild World.
I mean, who
Riddick
does this
Bowe
shit?
for Riddick Bowe's cotton candy guy. That was me. After he got kicked out of the Marines, Riddick Bowe joined the Marines. I don't know if you guys remember this. He was like, he won, and then he was like, I'm joining the Marines. And then I was like, cotton candy here, and it was Riddick Bowe was like, hey, I'll get some of the cotton candy. I was like, wait, I thought you were in the Marines. why are you at Wild World today with 10,000 of your friends? But here's some cotton candy, sir. Anyways, I don't know who brought that up. Our cornerbacks are terrible and our wide receivers are terrible. Where are we at? Let's talk about let's get to the defensive snaps. How about that? We got the offensive snaps. Anything else? Zacchaeus, Dr. Zacchaeus, whatever. I thought he was probably my least favorite wide receiver of the day. Jamison Crowder, whatever. Luke McCaffrey hurt. I mean, he snapped high. He was our second highest snapping wide receiver. Wasn't a big impact. Not a lot to talk about here. Let's go to defense. Not a lot of good to talk about. All right, here. Ooh, that's not it. You're gonna hate that graphic, Kevin.
I hate it already.
All right, defense. Now I had it set up so that we can kind of do a side by side. That's why it looks a little bit. But looking at the defense, St. Just and Wagner, they snapped all 64. St. Russell was the next highest snap player, which I do. Him and Quan Martin. I'll tell you what. Him, Quan Martin, and Frankie Louvu. So there's
That's a lot. That's a lot on a rookie's shoulders.
But that's our top five guys, and I think
Those
that
are
makes
best
sense.
besides
Payne and Allen,
exactly.
a little like a little bit of a platoon scenario that you're going to get at the defensive tackle position. But those top five guys, snap wise, two corners, really three defensive backs and two linebackers. So, what stands out to you guys? What are you looking at? If you do go down? Jamin Davis, 13 snaps. Where are you thinking?
Here's what I'm thinking. Everyone told me we were going to be getting all these damn turnovers. We got a big old goose egg on the turnover now, and there's no turnovers. I don't care who played that many snaps. Can someone punch a ball out or step in front of one? Can we get it back for the good guys?
We almost had one in the
crazy.
first quarter.
We
St.
almost
Juice made a great break on the ball.
Yeah.
Almost had one.
almost.
But that was just an individual effort. Again, I just think the defense is not there yet. This pressure that they want to put on, we don't have the
Nothing's there yet.
We don't have the
but
cornerbacks to do it. We're going to put ourselves in horrible positions if we keep trying to do that with the way that our cornerbacks are playing right now.
Greg makes a point. I'll throw it up there. I haven't had a chance to do comments on the board tonight. Sorry to everybody else.
Good, because I left my phone in the car and I can't see a damn
Greg,
thing.
most of the defensive players
phone's
made
died.
no plays, and he's given a one-play award to a few guys. I think it's a fair sentiment because, listen,
Because it's true.
because our defense was not good.
Because we saw it. We got pooped on.
It
So
was putrid.
let me ask you about. Let's just focus just on the pass rush for a second. We don't have to worry about putting the snaps back up. We rushed 4, obviously, regularly. We got pressure?
We did get pressure.
We got
we never
pressure.
really got home.
Yeah, that
Baker was a freaking Houdini back there.
We got some hands
made
on him.
Baker look way better than he really is. Look, he's an above average NFL quarterback,
Oh yeah.
which is incredible in and of itself. But we made him look so much better than he really is.
But I think he's better than you think he is, and with those 2 receivers, he's a lot better than he was somewhere else without them. That's all. Yes, what he's good at is what he did to us. Managed the pocket, negotiated the pocket. Yeah,
Negotiated the pocket.
He did not get. He's not going
He
to
had
beat
hands
you
on
with
him.
his feet. He didn't make a shitty mistake.
No.
He didn't do any
He was
typical
quite
Baker.
elusive.
And like sneakily, he was sneakily elusive, and that's what he is. And I know what you're saying. I do. I'm just saying. I think they're going to be better than I thought they were. That's not an excuse. We stunk. That's on us. Forget about them. They're done. We don't see them again unless we get to the playoffs. Which let's not get to that at all. I'm just saying.
That would be the kind of team we would play if we played the
It
playoffs.
would be. We always play Tampa Bay. in the playoffs,
Always
don't we?
play, Tampa Bay and Seattle. If we make the playoffs this year, book it. It's going to be Tampa Bay or Seattle. The interesting thing, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. At 6 o'clock in the morning, the drive time morning DJ sports talk radio in Cleveland guy. I listened to the recording of this, right? So it's
Tina
whatever it
are
is.
Getting nervous.
It's like Frankie and Johnny or whatever it is. It's the Cleveland Browns
Definitely Frankie and Johnny.
sports station. They go on at 6. The first caller they take. They're like, "Hey, you're up first or whatever." And the guy's like, "I have 2 numbers for you. It's like 42.3 and 144." And the guy's like, "All right. We're talking Browns. They got waxed by the Cowboys. So, all right, I don't know what you're talking about. Please tell me what you're talking about." The guy's like, Deshaun Watson's quarterback rating for the Browns, 42.
Ugh.
Baker Mayfield's quarterback rating for the Buccaneers, 144. The host of the radio station, went ballistic. He literally had a breakdown. He was on the air for 13 minutes, and he lost it. He's like, "I'm not doing this. I can't believe we're doing this. The first caller of week 1, and I have to listen. And he's like, I can't undo the trade. I can't undo. I can't. I'm not." And he's yelling at his producers, "Give me someone who's not going to talk about this." I mean, they got a guy who they're paying more money than anybody, who just fingered yet another butthole somewhere, somehow.
Oh,
Yes.
Well, that escalated fast.
Wow.
He's charged
Because
again.
you are also bringing up some bad off the field stuff that I think that actually happened.
Yeah, no,
We
he's
don't
been
need to
charged
go
again.
there.
He's been
Ken's
charged again.
Ken's trying to get a deal with Green Spot, apparently.
He's
Green
been
Spot.
charged again.
Brown spot.
He has?
Yes, as of
What?
today, another suit was brought against Deshaun Watson. They're investigating it. The league's investigating it. It is absolutely outrageous. They're talking about whether or not he should go on the exempt list, how they're going to be safe with this.
He should go on the weird list.
That's why I bring it up, because it is not going away. It's a thing.
So this was totally intentional.
It's totally intentional.
That-
yes.
That took me and
That's
Kevin.
why you went Brown Spot.
I'm
That's
pretty
why I
sure.
went brown
I'm pretty sure
spot.
the board was pretty.
No, the board knows more
Holy
than the board knows.
moly.
Deshaun Watson has been charged, has been accused again of sexual assault
Got hot in
from
here
the
for a minute.
last 3 or 4 years. I don't know anything about the charges. I don't know that he's been suspended or put on the sidelines just quite yet. All I know is they owe him all the monies, and he hasn't played at all like he did when he stepped off the field for the last time with the Houston Texans, when he looked like he was going to the Hall of Fame. He was reading defenses. He was throwing it to a DeAndre Hopkins in his prime. Everything was great. 3 or 4 years later, holy crap, is it bad? And the Cleveland Browns fans having to watch Baker Mayfield turn back into a legitimate veteran franchise quarterback. That is so painful.
Who's not in the whole 14-7 to every masseuse? And
Yes. I'm not trying to be facetious. I guess I am trying to be facetious, but I'm not trying to make light. Maybe I'm trying to
I
make
think
light.
Dislocated Boner needs to add another stanza to their stellar song in honor of
Yes.
Deshaun
Oh yeah,
Watson.
that's right. Maybe I was doing that too. I didn't even realize it. But no, there's another case being brought against this guy. It's sad. First of all, it's so sad because if you remember, think about this: the draft that he came out was the 2017 draft. 3 quarterbacks were taken in the top of that draft. First round quarterbacks. Deshaun Watson was one of them. Who were the other 2? The 2 top ones. One was a huge miss. a trade up and just miss like you wouldn't believe. 2017, still in the league.
Still in the league.
He was called one thing, and he said, "Actually, my name is this."
Oh yeah, full name. Pittsburgh journeyman, big beefy whitey.
Big beefy whitey. He's been for
Buffalo, Pittsburgh.
He was drafted by
number 1 pick. Right?
It was
Mitchell.
It was
Mitchell Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky, drafted by the Chicago Bears, because they thought in their infinite wisdom, if we're going to trade up, we're trading up for a guy like Mitchell Trubisky. You know what? This Patrick Mahomes guy, I don't know. No one who knows what he's going to be capable of. Who was, of course, drafted by the Chiefs.
They didn't, but I think it's the Browns GM. There was one guy that said jumped on the table and was like, "This guy's the
This guy's the guy."
It might have been the guy in KC. Maybe it was.
So KC took Mahomes. The Bears took Trubisky, and and Deshaun Watson obviously went to the Texans. He was great. He was right away. People thought they made him a huge mistake. He was athletic, but he was a passer first. He was reading defenses.
He always smelled like cocoa butter.
He smelled a lot like cocoa butter, and no one knew why, but now. So, anyways, it is terrible. I mean, he got paid $230 million guaranteed for a reason. What people saw on tape was very impressive.
Mixed with icy hot.
But the circuit video footage, the closed circuit video footage of the salons, that was the tape that got him in trouble, I believe. So we'll see. Thankfully, we're not watching Taylor Heineke or Carson Wentz or Alex Smith go anywhere else and do amazing things. Nobody who's played quarterback for us.
No, Sexy
except
Rexy.
for one.
Sexy Rexy went and had a few chunky receptions somewhere.
He did.
He spun it a little bit.
Only Kirk Cousins continues to kind of lift his leg on us just a teeny tiny bit, but he looked terrible this week.
He also likes to remind us that there was some downtime.
There was
because it was up and down. He was like a 50-50 guy, I don't know.
He
wasn't all terrible, and he wasn't all great.
He's a wet fish.
He's
so mediocre.
He's so average about everything.
Yes.
Like the last guy in the world I want to sit next to on a flight.
Yeah.
Like the last guy in the world, you win. You've won dinner with Kirk. Nope, I'm good. I'm not feeling that hungry tonight. No.
And he's made more money than anyone doing what he does. He's
done great there.
So Kirk Cousins has been a great Kirk Cousins. But anyone else who gets compared to Kirk, if you're like 23 and you get compared to Kirk Cousins, you're like, wait a second, that's not good. That is really bad. Don't compare me to Kirk Cousins, showing like 37, coming off like a couple.
He is a jar of mayonnaise.
Yes. It's okay to end up like Kirk Cousins, but you don't want to just be like, they'd be like, hey, this guy like Kirk Cousins. Because if they're saying that about you, basically what they're saying is,
Your milk
I mean, you can make a roast beef sandwich.
Yeah.
I'll throw you on a little cheesesteak, but like that's, I mean, he can run an offense, he can throw the passes, but nobody, his boner rating is just so low. I would say for the most part.
For the love of Chuck Taylor.
Sorry,
There's a rating now. Oh God, I think
we're in. We can. We're on. I'll
here.
push the button. We can delete that out. Brad Johnson, Trent Green. Brad Johnson, of course, famously came back and beat us, as did Trent Green. As did most guys.
They had no chance not to.
Yes. Oh, I always tell the story. Brad Johnson came here as a Viking, right? Wasn't he a Viking and beat us in the opener?
Wasn't he a Viking after us? No,
Yeah.
he might have been a
That's what
Viking
he's
before us.
No. I'm talking about after
what
us.
he's saying.
After us.
That's what
he's saying,
He came here, and he wore his Redskins Brad Johnson jersey.
They're warm up.
Control.
No. On the way out.
Yeah.
On the way out of the stadium as he walked out. It was awesome.
If any of us were professional athletes that got rejected or had some bad experience here with that piece of crap, we were doing the same thing. And I get it, but I like Brad Johnson.
I do too.
I interviewed Brad Johnson in a primetime interview.
I remember.
For that Sunday night game.
I remember.
That was great. He was cool.
He's so cool.
He was so cool.
He's so cool because not only was he never really the starter at Florida State, he also came off the bench for their hoops team. It was a badass power forward.
He was.
Yes.
He's an
He
incredible
was a
athlete.
very good basketball
He was
player.
a little quirky.
The last guy in the world you wanted to be in a pickup game with, kind of guy. Like you would look
He
at him
was
and be like, this guy's not going to dunk on me, and then 10
He
seconds
doesn't look
later
like
he
much, but
dunks
he's a-
on
I
you.
was
He's a
going to say,
baller.
he's like Kirk Cousins' cooler older brother.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Drives an IROC. denim,
Cousin.
a cut-off denim
Cousin.
jacket.
He's a cousin.
Cousin's fair.
Smokes
Cool cousin.
Marlboros.
Yeah, he's got. You have a
The
cool
cousin
cousin.
Kirk always wanted to be like.
Yeah, and Kirk's like, he's the dreamiest.
But
Yes.
God
They
doesn't,
gave you a Billy
God
Idol
doesn't
tape.
let him do that
Right.
stuff.
Maybe the early Chili Peppers. So yeah,
I think Kirk Cousins prays for Deshaun Watson on a daily.
What's that?
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins
Yeah.
prays
Careful what you wish for,
Deshaun
Kirk.
Watson daily.
He does.
I'm sure he does.
Okay. Wow. He prays for Deshaun Watson.
Correct.
Okay. Sorry, I thought he praises
His
him.
redemption. He stops doing icky stuff.
Stop doing all those squishy things with those people. So gross.
So gross. The interesting thing about, let me ask you this.
How appropriate. He's a Cleveland Brown.
It's true.
I
The
mean,
old
come
Cleveland
on.
steamer.
That hasn't hit the meme.
The old
circuit
hot
yet.
Carl. Listen, I would say that the way the week one went in this new day and age, I think we're cruising towards a really, and again, this is week one. This is a stupid thing to say, but I do think that there's going to be, you're going to see
Okay, we get things off
some
our chest.
team, the trade deadline in the NFL this year, which comes a little early, I think it's going to be a big deal.
For who?
I think Atlanta trades Kirk Cousins. Let's move
There you
on.
go,
Let's
guys.
move on.
Who walks down the
just got the
goddamn
nugget of the
street
night.
today thinking Atlanta will trade Kirk Cousins by the deadline?
You just said he had no boner value, and now somebody's
None.
going to want to take him.
Yes, someone will.
Okay.
And the Atlanta Falcons will be happy to do it. But I'm that guy, and it's bad. Kevin, I can honestly say, when I had that thought today,
No,
my
but I don't
first
even know
thought
what
was,
that means.
my first thought was, Kevin's not going to like this.
He's not. He's not gonna like it.
That's usually a telltale sign. You probably shouldn't run with it.
Yeah.
But it is
I'm not
fun.
running.
But
I'm
it is
like- I'm
fun to
kinda-
watch his reaction when you know
like-
that it's coming.
I'm like, I think they're going to trade. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to trade Kirk Cousins. I should tell Kevin right
I feel
away.
like Dan Quinn should get a pair of green sneakers. I'm like, what the shit did you just
he's
say?
backwards hat wearing.
No, I can see him. He'd look green would look good in his skin tone. You're gonna figure this out.
I will figure it out
I know.
now that you're saying it.
No,
I don't know
no.
if it's green.
You're a
though.
weird guy, Ace.
Yeah, well, what can I say? What else do we have? We have some team stats. Let's do some team stats.
Well, I mean, we are playing the Giants because we can
We're
stop
gonna-
talking about this game anytime
That's
soon.
the only like.
We're going
Oh,
to.
sorry. Team
Great
stats.
thing
team
to
stats.
see.
You
We're
didn't-
gonna-
you
we're
didn't-
gonna-
you didn't- yeah.
I mean, I did.
You did not make these team stats not to put them.
I
up
did
there.
copy and paste this. Oh, how about this? Real fast.
Once again, slightly nervous.
Slightly nervous. Our defense was epically bad last year. We have high expectations. We hired a defensive head coach, and his whole philosophy in form of our staff.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna. I think it's. I'm tired of in August standing on tables with the two of you, including you, about this defense and always
I
being
don't
like,
remember that night.
Duran Payne, Jonathan Allen, we're gonna be great. Chase Young, Montez Sweat. This defense is coming correct. We got everything going on. We're blah, 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 blah. I'm done with it. I need to take a break from that. I'll get back to it someday. We're gonna look at what we are every single week, and let's just run through it real fast. Here is our rushing defense, and I'm not even putting the whole league up here because Kevin's eyes are already not gonna be able to see this. I will tell you
It's
right
all
now.
I'll take your word for it.
Rushing yards. No one gave up more yards than the Indianapolis Colts. They gave up 213 yards. We're watching that game on replay here in the basement studio. Joe Mixon is a mofo. He is the guy that you would want to have. The Kansas City Chiefs gave up the next most to the Baltimore Ravens. Their running team. You get it. Where are we? We are on the page. We are down there. We gave up 112 rushing yards. This is one of our better ones. That's why I led with it. We're still over 100 yards. We're right in the middle of the league. Great. Let's just move on. Passing defense gets a little worse. Jacksonville, Detroit, and Baltimore got lit up in the secondary. We gave up 280 yards. Worst team in the league was 319. We're well in the top tier of defenses who gave up passing yards, which means that if you look at our total yards of defense, there we are. Again, in the top 10 of total yards defense. I think this is a meaningful stat. Obviously, you got a lot of garbage time. I got one more stat to throw with you with rankings. I think that the theme here is our defense remains in the bottom tier of the NFL in general.
They're bad.
Kevin referred to this as the passingest league in the world. It's true. A lot of teams here gave up. I think giving up over 400 yards is that's where you think you get into trouble. 392. You can't sing praises of 392. You go down to the middle of the pack. Middle of the pack in the NFL this past week was right around 300 yards. That was middle of the pack for passing yards. Just gives you an idea. 300 yards is a great day for a quarterback. It's middle of the pack in terms of total passing yards for defense. We gave up 392, and here is your scoring defense stats. We're number 2 in the worst way. Panthers got laid 47 on them. We gave up 37 points. Again, middle of the pack in the league this first week out of 1 week is right around 20. 19, 20 points, that's your average. We gave up 37. Not good. Not a good effort in terms of trying to rebound from being one of the worst defenses last year. And so in week 1, this wasn't a good week for our defense. You'll notice, and I'll have this as we move forward, yards per game in rushing, passing, points per game, and points. We'll keep on this defense. We'll see how they're progressing. Right now, they're not progressing. Here's your team stats. You look at this out of the gate, and Kevin, I apologize. Again, these numbers are tiny for our talent.
Sorry, I'm just going to go to the car and grab my phone real quick. I'll be right back.
Right away, what matters most, as it always does, third down efficiency. Tampa Bay Buccaneers were 9 for 13 on third down.
I know.
They're not going to do it, and we were only 2 for 8. So I'm working on a little something to show a differential between the third down success of our offense versus the third down success of our defense. This is a dreadful spread. We couldn't stay on the field on third down, and we couldn't get off the field on defense on third down. That's bad. That's probably the number one thing. We were 100 yards behind him in total yards. We had the same amount of first downs. All this other crap that doesn't matter. Obviously, interestingly, we outrushed them. Now, you outrush teams, you're going to win a lot of games. But that obviously wasn't the case here. I think Baker Mayfield was probably a huge reason for that. And the penalties. Now, you look at these penalties. 7 for 51 for us. 7 for 46 for them. I thought our penalties were way, way, way worse, timely-wise. The mistakes came in the worst possible scenarios, third downs specifically. I thought that the Washington command, this is your coaching line, I think. This is what you look at for coaches. We're getting penalties. Obviously, players make plays. Players commit penalties. Was the team ready to play from a coaching standpoint? The coaches are getting a lot of, criticism, the offensive coordinator for his play calling. But, Dan Quinn and his entire staff, it's not just 7 penalties for 51 yards. There was 3 or 4 of those penalties that kept drives alive, including scoring drives. So the turnover battle was 0-0. That's huge. And time of possession, not a material. We just kind of brain farted there on the time of possession. We were about 7 minutes short, but whatever. That's not as drastic as it looks. It's weird that we were that much lighter on time of possession when we had that much more rushing yards than them. I think if you look at all of these things, guys, the penalties and the third downs, those are things, you just can't do.
Also, you can't do them when you're up against a bad matchup for yourself, offensively and defensively. This is a good football team. I'm not saying Tampa Bay is world beaters. I think they're top 5 in the NFC.
They're probably the greatest team in the history of the league.
I think they're top 5 in the NFC. I think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're going to cause any damage, but they're going to be in the mix and give somebody a headache.
This is Baker's first MVP year.
That is a team that just sliced and diced us.
In part because Baker's the quarterback.
Yeah,
sure. I think you can only take him so far.
That's fair. But we'll see, because if they stay healthy, they got some defense. They got a good coach. I like some of their makeup. That's all. But I just think they're top 5. This league is average as shit, right? There's no world. I don't mean that in a bad way. That's why every game is cool. That's why we're not
It is
out of
top
it.
heavy.
We got a lot of old school fans that are like, that's it. I'm like, all right, well, there's going to be better matchups for us. There's going to be teams that
Like this week?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. T, I appreciate what you're doing there.
We got there. We did it.
We're here in the last segment
the
of the
fun
show. We're playing the New York Giants. And just because it's been slightly negative in terms of the experience of losing to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, being 0-1, coming off a 4-win season, and not really showing a whole lot of awesome stuff in week 1, let's just start at rock bottom here.
We're going to try.
The New York Giants, our division rival. The three of us, now you guys are much older than me, obviously, but the three of us come from an age where we did not worry about the New York Giants. Our formative years, Kevin, our formative years.
And they were good, but we still didn't.
And we were good too.
Yeah.
Our formative
Are you
years.
excluding the Parcell years?
No.
No, we're just saying we always thought we were
Specifically.
better than them, and I think we probably had a few more victories over them. But
Yes.
I think they probably, I mean, we kind of beat up on Dallas back then. I think they might have had whatever. They were good, but we were better than everybody, so we didn't give a shit. When we were 18 years old, we had 3 Super Bowls under our belts.
Yes, we did.
That's why we're sitting here now. Our fandom at 18 years old, 3 Super Bowls under our belts. If you're an 18-year-old fan of the Commanders right now,
See if he knows it. I came close, but see if he knows it.
dude.
If you're an 18-year-old fan,
of the Commanders, and you're like,
today.
oh, and someone says to you, oh, we're going to roll the Giants. We always crush the Giants.
how many games total is that? If we put an 18-year-old, how many games?
No, I wouldn't feel that way as an 18-year-old.
36 games. What's our record? Board? Everyone take a crack at it.
36 games.
36 games.
What's our record in
If you're
the last
an 18-year-old
36?
man born after Christmas in 2005 at postseason, it is atrocious. It's so disturbing.
It's bad.
I'll tell you this: in our last 11, we're 2-8-1.
Ooh.
We're like, oh, the Giants thing, we're gonna bitch slap the Giants. No, we're not. Like that's
We
a
have 12
terrible
wins.
thought. So you think we have 12 wins out of
36.
36? So you got us at what, 12 and 24? We are 10, 25, and 1.
Oh, that's right. We had the tie.
Had the one tie. So, yeah, man. They also are 9-5 in the postseason. We're 0-5. They've got 2 Super Bowls. We don't have any. No playoff wins. They've got so many. So if you're 18, you're like, what are these nerds talking about? So let's not get in any arguments this week with any 18-year-old
No,
Giants fans.
Or college age
And
or whatever. Yeah.
we shouldn't be so confident either. I mean,
No, that's what I'm saying.
this is so
That's
hard.
what we're trying to make
This
the
is what
point
we're
of.
saying. This is
But
the entire
This
point.
is an epic battle of
We're-
good versus
we're-
evil.
We're coming in this game black and blue. They're coming in this game on crutches, bro.
Not just
They're
crutches.
hurting.
They got this guy. Check this out.
They are
I got this from a
hurting.
Giants fan today. Got this from a Giants fan today. I forgot to put this up. This was from a Giants fan. A Giants fan saying, building the worst possible quarterback. That's just all Daniel Jones. And by the way, the worst throwback jersey, I appreciate old school. I do. I don't appreciate that.
When they said the Montreal Canadiens snuck in and humped the uniforms and no one in
Yes.
New York was looking, they were right.
Yes.
That is a hockey jersey.
It is a hockey jersey. It's the Super 70s sports guy had a great line on it. But anyways, decision making, play execution, pocket pressure, mobility, arm strength, accuracy, and drip. They're giving Daniel.
Do you know what his record versus us is?
By the way,
By
he's
far the best record he has against any team.
It's it. It's not close.
he's a Hall of Famer against us. A Hall of Famer. It's not
Yeah.
even close. I would say if he's lost once, I'd be shocked.
And it's mostly by his legs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I don't want to talk about it. So I just want all of us to know that I'm nervous as shit because going 0-2 with the loss of the Giants,
can't
I
be
got to
nervous.
listen. That's when a person who has, and I will admit this, a bit of an optimistic outlook on this because of the shit that's been scraped off the top of it, specifically that.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this as, hey, look, this is a whole new year of fun. This is new. We don't have to worry about, but it's still ball. It's still ball. When you watch those 3 hours on Sunday, you want that team and you feel the same. It's hard to change that. So, damn, I really want to feel good about it. I just want us to make some plays and be aggressive and exciting. You know, all the stuff they told us that we were going to be.
I remember
Causing
all those
turnover
things.
around, punch
All the
the
things
ball
we've been
out,
telling people too.
everything. Exactly.
Yeah.
Get off the edge, heat that
They're making us
quarterback
a bad
up,
team.
turnover battles. Let's win it. Let's do one of these
Turnovers.
things. Everything we were told was going to happen didn't happen. The popcorn's gone, the movie's over, and we are pissed. So
You know the silver lining there, and there is one, is the lack of like our 0 turnovers this past week. That's kind of huge too. I mean, I get that we didn't make any that we didn't create any and get the ball back.
We were like, here you go. You have it.
We've had our turnover differential has been a negative number for a long time, and by a decent amount. So, and that's a season number. You say, veteran coaches will always tell you, if you protect the ball, you're going to have more wins when you shouldn't otherwise have wins. So, we're even on the turnover differential after week 1. That's something. The thing about the thing about playing the Giants is like obviously, like no person who's been paying attention for the last 5 years or 10 years or 20 years is going into this game thinking we're gonna beat the Giants. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna just beat them. This is my Kevin Ricca impersonation. We're gonna beat the Giants.
I've never put my hands on my love hangers and totally...
We're gonna beat the Giants. Like we shouldn't be saying there's no evidence. It's a conspiracy. And if anything, I don't know how we're gonna beat them. I hope we do. We're gonna find out. Like when we said we wanted to be somewhere in the neighborhood of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after week 1 because they're a playoff team. Well, we're not. We can't afford that neighborhood. We need to start our neighborhood. We need a New York Giants area neighborhood. And I got to be honest with you right now, that neighborhood, I grew up in a neighborhood like that. I think you guys know what those neighborhoods are like. Those are street ball neighborhoods. You play tackle football on the pavement in those neighborhoods. And until we show that we can compete in that neighborhood, it's going to be a dirty, ugly, weird, this game is not going to be an instant classic. This is going to be you're going to watch it and be like, how the F is this happening in 2024 on a football field? That's what we're going to say. And we have to win this game somehow.
I'd like to think that we are going to, in week 2, after what we experienced this past week, are going to be markedly better than we were a week ago. And the Giants are not. Therefore, we have an advantage in this game. We have to go in thinking we have the advantage.
I hope. I mean, how many times have we? I thought we were going to beat the Giants a lot. I thought we were going to be. I'll tell you what. I thought we were going to beat the Giants a lot of times, and I was wrong a lot of those times. So many.
25, I'm sure.
So many of those times.
Yeah.
26 if you include the tie.
We didn't lose to good Giants teams either. So I was at the game in 2007, the Sean Taylor year, when he was wearing the old school jerseys and they had Strahan and Tuck and one of the best defensive lines in the league, and they just I understand we're going to lose that game, but I watched us lose the worst games to the New York Giants, the games where I think only the 3 of us were watching and no one else was. Maybe there's some of the players' moms, and that's it. And and people were like, I wonder what happened in the Washington New York game today. Was that even on? Did they televise that today? I'm sorry. Here I am doing more Kevin.
No, it's not. I don't know.
You do that in front of the mirror.
It's got a little foghorn leghorn to it.
It is
with a slight like a sweet ass foghorn leghorn.
Dance to it.
Yeah, but with great nipples.
It is. Well, it's not yet cold enough in the basement.
Is this a bad time to say how I? Never mind.
Yes, please. All right, let's talk about predictions. And Kevin, I'm going to let you lead us off.
Oh God, I'm gonna go into the. I'm just gonna say 17-16, and I'm gonna give us a win, and it's gonna be gross and dirty and nasty, and we're not gonna care because it's a win, and you got to win them grimy ones. And if you're gonna raise yourself up from the murky depths of the freaking swamp as a unit, this is one of those ones you figure it out. Maybe our new ass kicker pipes one right down.
Austin Siebert. That's a name for you. He's been in the league before.
You know what's super cool? I never knew that there was a 2-week designation attached to the 7th round draft pick. It was chapping my ass for the last 3 weeks. And the fact that we cut him before he played in the second game means we get our 7th rounder back. And
that's why you cut him.
And it was like he was never here.
It's like
at least Adam Peters gave us that. It was like he was never here. We didn't lose anything.
Exactly. That points us back to what I was talking about, being like Adam Peters saying, "Hey, listen. I'm not going to lose a draft pick of any kind for this mofo."
And he loves 7 rounders. So I was like, never. They said there was going to be turnovers. I was promised physical football.
Promised turnovers.
God damn it.
I
You
was picking your
said,
supervisor immediately.
I want my scoop and score. God damn it.
I was told this was going to be a gangbang. T, what's your...
I'm going to stick to my gun, say it was 17-14, and it is going to be a field goal winning game for the Swans.
Grimier than a mud.
All right, so we've all picked this game as a win in the preseason, and we've all picked this game officially as a win during the season. I also do think we win this game. I hate myself. You know what? I'm not even going to be like the guy who's like, oh, this is going to be a runaway, blah 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 blah. Nope. I know exactly what game we're about to watch. I do. I'm confident in it. It's going to it's going to cause nausea and diarrhea and just absolute messiness. And I'm going to sit there watching, and at the end, we're going to win 19-17. And I'm going to think to myself, God, it's going to be a long season.
17.
Yeah, it's going to be something stupid like that.
And we're gonna, if we win by a safety, we will all do the safety dance here
Yes,
for you
we
all
will do the
next
safety
Tuesday.
dance. I'm not down on this team. I'm just down. I'm just living in reality I'm on vacation in reality.
They got some good players on their defense, and
Yes.
apparently their nerd quarterback shows up with a S on his chest every time he rolls into PG County. So,
Oh, look, J
Shit.
Dubs is with me, dude. J Dubs. That's a big sign. 1917. I agree.
I like a grimy ass score. I said 17-16. T said 17-14. You said 19-17.
It's going to be.
I like it.
The network's going to be like, when can we switch to the news?
You know what the best part
right
about the Giants last week getting worked on, and like T said, they're on crutches, is they had to watch Saquon just go the fudge off.
That's hilarious.
Which sucks
Have
for
you
us.
seen
It
the
does
video?
suck for us, but not this
Have you
week.
seen the
Not this
video
week.
Not this
of
week.
Mara in the office when the coach and the GM was talking to him about? He's like beside himself. He's got to be. I mean, that's just
Because Saquon's a great person. They had a good relationship, and he's like,
Yeah.
"What are you telling me?"
Every report, and I know people in the lowest of places, so I don't pretend to be an insider anywhere. But the thing about Saquon is, they always said he was a good locker room guy. He was a company man.
I said he was the best player in the history of the Giants. And
Everybody
you're telling me
loved
we're
him.
Going to trade him.
And they
You want to talk about
made
somebody shitting in their pants?
They
I swear
went
to God,
away
it
from
squirted
him.
out. You could hear it on the video, on the tape.
and also
A
exactly.
little
Pass-
beef-
he's-
Hold up, a little beef Wellington.
Yes.
Yes.
Dude, look it up. There's
in the exact
there's a video
second.
of him. It's
I believe it.
great.
In the exact second when the league decided that yes, you do pay for the best running backs. Now we went away from that briefly. They said, well, we're not running backs are a dime a dozen. No one's worth paying for. Yes, they are. Some are worth paying for. Saquon's one of them. The league decided that this year in the last 8 months. The Giants were the last team to make that terrible mistake.
Saquon's going to have a career day against the Giants.
Oh God, I'll be rooting
Yes,
for him. It'll
me
be the
too.
only- I will. I've always loved the dude.
He's so lovable.
He is. He
I
is.
hate the fact that he went from New York to Philly. I would have loved
I
for him to
know.
go somewhere where I
And-
could have
and
been
we
a
still
big,
love him.
big
That's
fan.
it, yeah.
It is crazy.
The way he plays the game, the way his teammates speak of him, and how he handles himself.
Yes.
He's extremely likable.
We'll get that
How
back
that
up.
happened.
That's my granddad's Arlington National Cemetery
He's not happy with us right now.
day.
Yeah, he's like, if
21 gun salute
He's like,
for the sergeant major.
Ken does that weird hip thing one more time.
Well, the thing is, so he was a San Diego guy. Not to talk about my granddad Al, but he was a Padres fan. But then he became an Orioles fan because we lived in Baltimore, and he became a Nats fan because he lived at the old soldiers home in D.C. right across from Carroll High School.
Oh, awesome.
On Harewood.
Very cool.
And he would always be like, he'd be like, Kenny. He'd be like, Kenny. He's like, that team's just not good. He's talking about the Redskins. And I knew like he wasn't like a big football guy, but he would.
I've heard a lot of guys in Kensington say the same thing to you.
Yes, but he was a Marine for life. He was a member of the Chosen Few, one of the baddest ass group of Marines in the history of the Marine Corps. Everyone out there who served, they know who the Chosen Few are. That's my granddad. He literally marched out of China, in the worst conditions ever. And he would just be like, Kenny, those guys just aren't good. They're just not good.
He tells it how it is.
Yeah, he tells it like it is. I mean, and also because it's somewhat guttural for men like that. They look at a bunch of guys, and you're like, I'll go to freaking 11-on-11 warfare. In between the lines with this group of guys, like guys like my granddad and the toughest mofo's in the land. They looked at the Redskins over the last 20 years. And they're like, you know what? No, not going to fight with those guys. Those guys are not worth fighting with. But anyways, we got the picture back up and running. 1917, 17, 16, 17, 14. We're all in the same ballpark. This is going to be an ugly game, but it is an early opportunity to measure ourselves against not just a team that we need to be better than, but also a division rival. Got to get this win. We took an NFC loss last week. That's a playoff, impact.
Must win.
We were 0-1 in the NFC right now. Just tracking it. It is
no
true.
Must win.
It is true.
No, but it feels like it.
It feels like it.
And
It
I
feels
want to
like
say
it.
it too, but it can't be because my theory is it's not a must win unless like you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
For your liver, it's a must win.
Yeah, I need us to win this game. So it's a need win. It's a need win. It's going to be. I'll look forward to, watching the matchup. I look forward to seeing what our secondary does against Malik Neighbors. I look forward to seeing how we handle. I can't even give you a name on the New York Giants. I don't know. Like we should we at least match up with these guys. This is like, oh my gosh, this game shouldn't even be televised.
Just get all saucy and start talking with attitude. Then it'll be fine.
This should be a radio only game. You should have to go to it to see it. That's how like stuff like this. I don't want to shit on my own team, but at the same time, like let's just live in reality. Again, I just take a vacation to reality.
Job.
A vacation to reality just once in a while. And I just happen to be vacationing there this week. And in reality, we know that this is not compelling television. But we're going to watch it because we do. It is a code red, Greg Martin. You're absolutely damn right. Let's make this a code red.
You just blacked out and Commander steamered the entire roster.
We just can't I'm the guy. I look at this piece of paper. Last week,
full steamer ahead.
I whiskeyed my way to a ridiculous record. I'm already terribly wrong, as are we all. But but I understand the difference between being shitty in an organization that's always going to be shitty versus being shitty in an organization that inherited a shitty organization. So, you know what I mean?
I'm going to translate that into, I know we're getting better.
I know we're getting better. Exactly.
I know that. This is the first time I know that, mostly because that was very terrible to watch. Not terrible, just so painfully average to watch. Like there was no play. Anyways, that will get better. We're gonna have some fun watching our guys make some plays. We're gonna win some games. I don't know how many at this point.
We're learning about dudes.
But
We're getting
we'll
Jay Daniels goes out there again. That's exciting.
It's awesome to watch him every week. I believe we're gonna get to see that.
Yes. And Cliff Kingsbury, he has to
He'll get better.
An idea of what he wants to do.
I think he's a brilliant.
His first game.
But I just want to see it. I think what he's great at is developing talent. That's what I've said from the jump. That's what I was all on him about in the offseason. Never seen him call a game that I was rooting for before, and I thought I'd see something different. It looked very similar to what I've been watching. That's all.
Yeah.
That's I think what we didn't like.
For the fourth preseason game.
And look like the same shit we've been doing for the last few years too.
Yes.
What stood out about us formationally, our pace that we talked about? I was like, we're gonna go. We kind of went
56th place.
Like I was like, what the shit? Everything everybody said is a lie, and I've had enough.
I've had
enough of it.
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
I'm going to drink a shit ton of whiskey.
I think we're going to find ourselves in a better situation. Listen, after 1 week, the feeling of being a fan of this team in season is not materially changed from where we left off, outside of the fact that we recognize, because we're not morons, that Jaden Daniels is a player and he's going to keep getting better. They got to figure out. They got, Luke McCaffrey is now hurt. I don't know what they're going to do at wide receiver. The wide receivers got to give us something. I mean, we are no strangers in Washington to a ragtag bunch of wide receivers. How many preseasons have we covered just in this basement since 2015, where we left the preseason because we talk about, you're going to keep 6, maybe 7 wide receivers. How many years where we were like the last 2 or 3 wide receivers in our back of our minds are like, they're just not good. They're not good. Those are the kinds of guys we got to the season with on a regular basis. Like, that just can't be the case. That can't be the case right now. And it seems after 1
So
week.
Byron Pringle's feeling like some shit.
Pringle.
Right? You're like,
Yep.
sorry, dog. You weren't good enough to be part of this shit.
Yes. I mean,
He might be this week. No,
I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
But
Yeah.
is he? Is he?
I mean, also
we've got one great receiver, and the rest are.
on first and 10
What are we gonna do?
in 2024, and you throw behind Brian Robinson, to lose 13 yards to be so your second down of the season is 2nd and 23. That kind of sums it up.
The first thing you should be yelling on Jaden Daniels' first pass is, "Get on it! Jump on it! Grab the ball!" Why? Why am I yelling this? I know why.
We're going
I
to
love it. I'm not afraid of
how
it.
about the touchdowns? We got to do the touchdowns.
touchdowns. We were going to do it after week 1. T had Brian Robinson, who I believe
Scored the first one.
scored a touchdown. Kevin had Jaden Daniels, who I believe had 2. So week 2 is upon us. Kevin drafted first last week. T will draft first this week.
He cannot be denied 2 weeks in a row. Terry McLaurin.
All right, you're going T, Terry McLaurin. All right, that gives. So wait, who draft? So I draft second. Okay. I'm taking Jane Daniels. You can't take the same guy same back to back anyways. So Kevin couldn't have taken him anyways.
So you can hand me. Wait, is this a good time to talk about why D's Nuts is a way more viable candidate?
What do you got?
No, I'll just go with Brian Robinson.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go with Brian Robinson because I think way more
He's a
about.
stud.
And he looks like he's got a little juice to him this year. Although that was on limited carries when he was like trying to save himself. But I'm just saying he looks good. He looks sharp. He looks a little more
Eckler
crisp.
looked good too.
I want him to. He looked very good. I thought he was quicker and faster a little bit. But you know what? He's more of a groover. And by the way, he's more of a dude that he's going to be there in week 17 in the
He
playoffs
had some big
too.
plays for
yeah,
us.
and he will do that. And that's what I love about him. I think it's a good tandem. I'm going B-Rob though.
I love B-Rob. My comment about B-Rob, again, this is me vacationing in reality for 1 week. I think he, like Kevin said, I think he looks better coming out of this training camp than he has since we've drafted him. And
Yeah, he kind of looks like a guy all of a sudden.
he doesn't have a lot of room to operate, and his numbers indicate that. Ultimately, I want to see a little bit more dynamic out of him. When Austin Eckler got the ball, he seemed to have a little bit more juice and wiggle than Brian Robinson did. Now, I will say this: at the same exact time, Brian Robinson came out of college as a bruising, kind of a downhill dude
Who has slendered up a little bit.
Yes, but he was never ever credited. I don't think with the hands that he has. He has great hands. He has great hands. Kevin, hold it together. Hold it together, for God's sake. Stay with me, people.
When I make a highlight video of tonight's show, there is you have 7 gems, and I hope to send
He's
them
got
to
great
you.
hands. And the Jaden Daniel threw that ball, and when Brian that connection between Daniels and Robinson, specifically in the passing game, should be a big plus for us this year. Unfortunately, Kevin, you pointed out when we were talking about earlier, our biggest receivers this week,
Both our running backs.
both our running backs.
And we're not checked down Charlie, and that's not supposed to be what we're supposed to. But that's the safe way to do it right now. A little
It
bit.
is.
With,
And
with
B-Rob
some
can
other
do it.
plays being made. Let's
Yeah.
open up a little bit. God dang, there's no space. I don't know what the hell we're doing.
I don't know what the hell
Whenever we're talking about
Can't
we're gonna be so fast. We're
Can't
we're gonna be
we're not
so
fast.
multiple and fast.
We're not fast.
We're not anything.
God knows how many of those 16 runs were designed to be throws down the field
Oh,
that
shit.
that never materialized because he doesn't have the time to
16.
step into it.
I think there was
And
only
let it
2 or 3
develop.
planned runs, right? If we look at, I think you look objectively
Correct.
at the tape, there was something like that. So there was a lot of scrambling, but in this day and age, you expect there's still a distinction between pure scrambling you draft a guy who's athletic like Jaden Daniels is, expecting him to get some yards with his feet, but you also expect defenses at some point to try and take that away, which opens it up for the quarterback to throw to somebody. And I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just said, you know what, have your 88 yards. We're gonna take away everything else.
Right.
We're not letting Terry McLaurin beat us in the short passing game.
Yeah.
In the short passing game, Todd Bowles said, we've said we're not letting Terry McLaurin beat us in the short passing game, and they want to go short passing game, so figure out something else, coach.
He was
and we
fine.
didn't.
He was fine with Jaden Daniels.
Todd Bowles
racking up some yardage on the
Todd Bowles just big boyed us while a better team beat us. We lost across the board.
Have his card. I have his card.
We took our ass whooping, and let's get up from it, and let's go. Ken Coffey. So
didn't he play with didn't Todd Bowles play with Raphael Cherry?
Mike Ola, who was from
Olafante
from Puget Sound. Yes,
Mike Olafante.
Yeah. Mike Oliphant.
Mike Oliphant.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm Belafonte and just on the brain. I'm gonna we'll let T start off. Tim Strachan, closing thoughts after week 1.
Closing thoughts. Let's we've ripped off that Band-Aid. We've gotten our feelings out. We feel better. Still a happy Tuesday. Let's hope it's an even happier Tuesday next week. Can't wait to talk to you guys about it.
Kevin Ricca.
I look forward to a lovely Tuesday next week, and also a happy Sunday. I'm making the pot. I wasn't home this week. I didn't make the chili. I didn't do it all right.
It's all your fault.
It's my fault. I'm getting back to basics. I had to work out. It was my shift up at the Knights of Columbus, and I had to pass out the chili up there. But what I prefer to do is watch every play from the comfort of my own. Everyone in my house enjoys it.
Yep.
And I'm getting back to that this week. We're getting back to basics. We're going to kick the Giants' ass by 1, maybe 3 points, I think we've determined.
Yes.
Possibly 2.
An average of 2. I encourage everybody who's hanging out with us at this point in the night or who's checking us out.
God bless you if you are.
We have
to go to church.
T
or find a different
and Kevin calling a great high school football game. A great. How about this? A great high school football matchup. St. John's and Carroll. It's two awesome schools from the DC area. The final score won't be indicative of the import of like the matchup and the history of our league and those two schools.
Is this a wine and cheese tasting?
Maybe it is.
The final taste will not be
the import. I did use an import. I did.
I'll bring the charcuterie.
I love charcuterie, by the way.
Y'all are fucking nuts.
This is a charcuterie
and I'm the
crowd.
crudité.
This is a charcuterie scenario.
Sneaking them in there, baby.
We will be back in 7 days, and we will talk about the whooping that we lay down on the New York Giants. Until then, I'm Ken Meringolo, and on behalf of First Amendment Sports, I join you in saying thank God it's Tuesday. We'll see you in, I don't know, a little matter of time. Let's put this on here. What do we got? We got
take us out, DP.
It's all in a matter of time. We'll be back at some point. Let's just say
like that you can do it through the phone.
Thanks for hanging in, y'all.
We're still live.
You're on fire.
Fuego. Bro. How many whiskeys?
Wait, why is we keep getting muted on the board?
Why do we get
muted? That's a bad thing. I don't know. It's going to come back in like 2 seconds while we're still live. Manner of speaking, EO, J-Dubs, AGH watching us in retro, Robert Cohen, Rhett Donnelly. Where the hell is Ken Harris? Appreciate all you guys.
AGH on there tonight?
I love this is the Barbara Ann of the E.O. Anderson catalog. Do it